From his incredible career stats to his football role model, here are some of the surprising things you didn't know about Bryce Young. You'd be surprised to know that before becoming a football sensation, Young has some serious skills on the basketball court. He even went to those youth basketball camps. Talk about dedication. In one of his podcast episodes, he spilled the beans, saying that if he had been a little bit taller, he might have gone all in on basketball. But hey, life's full of choices, right? Instead, he kept it casual and played for fun.
If I was a little bit taller, I might be trying at a different sport, but I'm a big basketball guy.
And let me tell you, his childhood coach Mike Teller had some serious praise for him. According to Coach Teller, Young had it all. Incredible handling skills, athleticism, a sharp shooting game, amazing decision making, and even some lockdown defense. Coach Teller, with nearly 2 decades of coaching experience, was absolutely convinced that Young could have been a Division I point guard in a heartbeat. Well, there is more to this story. Although Young didn't go pro in basketball, he credits his time on the court for teaching him discipline and the art of sticking to a routine. On his podcast, he talked about how basketball helped him shape his work ethic. He said it laid the foundation for his success today, teaching him about schedules, routines, and the grind needed for improvement. What's more, this man is already rolling in big bucks. Yeah, I'm not joking. The guy's basically a millionaire, and he hasn't even had a full season under his belt. Alabama's head coach 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗡 talked about Young's skyrocketing fortune at the Texas High School Coaches Association's annual meeting. He said that Bryce's name, image, and likeness (NIL) deal is nearly worth $1 million, and he hasn't even started as the starting quarterback yet. Yeah, you've heard that right. The guy's already raking in millions. Well, the thing is that it's all thanks to Alabama's established brand. Besides Nick, former Alabama offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin couldn't believe it either. He expressed that he literally had his jaws on the floor when he heard of Young's value. After all, it's quite rare for a player to hit a million figure before a full season. Now you might be wondering, how did this young man pull it off? Well, it all started after a game-changing rule tweak by the NCAA on July 1st, 2023. They finally gave the green light for college athletes to cash in on their names and likeness. Actually, it took a Supreme Court ruling to make it happen, citing that old rules were against the federal antitrust laws. Now, let's talk about his college choices. At first, he had his sights set on the University of California. As a high school senior, he was all about becoming a pro. And why not? USC was so close to his home that he felt like he practically lived on their campus. Plus, he found the coaching staff there to be cooperative, which made him feel right at home. And let's not forget, USC also has a great academic reputation, so it checked all the boxes for the young quarterback. Well, here's where the plot thickens. Just a few months after making his commitment to USC in July 2018, Young did a complete 180 and made a switch to the University of Alabama by September 2019. I know you're wondering about why he made such a decision. Did USC mess up big time? Not at all. In fact, Bryce was quick to point out that the institute did everything right, and he didn't blame them. He literally had a whole explanation for the situation, saying that this was one of the toughest decisions he had ever made. He also added that he loved the coaching staff there. Clearly, it wasn't about USC falling short of expectations or anything like that. Turns out, it was just that Young saw an opportunity too good to pass over in Alabama. He felt like it was his golden ticket, and he wasn't about to slip that away. So he made the switch, and he did it with total peace of mind. Speaking of University of Alabama, Bryce had an incredible career there. You know, when he first made the call to attend Alabama, it wasn't exactly what he had in mind initially. In fact, he admitted that he never really expected to end up there. The idea of going so far away from home was a bit daunting at first. It was, in his words, a little scary. But you know what they say, sometimes the most unexpected choices lead to great adventures. Young spilled the beans on his podcast, sharing his thoughts about his pivotal decision. He said that when he first visited the campus, he quickly clicked with it. The facilities were top-notch, and the coaching staff felt like home. Sure, moving away from home was something entirely different from what he'd envisioned, but he just couldn't resist the experience of what Alabama had to offer, both on and off the field. It was a game changer, and he couldn't pass it up. Seriously, sometimes the path you least expect turns out to be the one that leads to greatness, right? Moving on, did you know that he's Alabama's highest rated QB prospect ever? I mean, that's not just a stretch, it's a literal fact. When you think about Nick Saban's all-star recruits over the years, Bryce is sitting right there at the top. In fact, he's been named as one of Saban's most celebrated recruits ever. Impressive, right? Seriously, this proves that he's a legend in the making. To add to that, he's not just a fourth five-star quarterback to pledge allegiance to the Alabama coach, he's the highest ranked of them all. Let me break it down for you. First, there was Phillip Sims, a pro-style quarterback who ranked as the #1 pro-style QB and the 31st overall player in the class of 2010. Then, Blake Barnett, another pro-style prodigy ranked as the second best pro-style QB and the 6th overall player in the class of 2015. And let's not forget 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗨𝗧, who brought his dual-threat magic to the field, ranked as the top dual-threat QB and the 32nd overall player in 2017. Out of those 3 QBs, only 2 really had their time in the spotlight at Alabama. Now, Bryce Young, he's a whole different breed. He's got the dual-threat skills like Tua, but he takes it to the next level. In the class of 2020, he wasn't just a number QB, regardless of the style, he was the second best player overall. I mean, that's like drafting an instant superstar for your team. Seriously, Alabama sure struck gold with this one. Now, after an outstanding junior year at Alabama where he pretty much owned the field, Bryce had a big announcement. He said that he'd not wait around for his senior year and would enter the 2023 NFL Draft. And you know what? It's not surprising that he decided to make the leap to the big league, given his incredible college record. Well, here's where things get interesting. With all the buzz around Young's NFL potential, he decided to take a somewhat unconventional route during the draft period. First of all, he skipped out the NFL scouting combine drills in February. Yeah, this man's got the confidence. But that's not all. He even canceled the rest of his pre-draft visits after chatting with a few teams like Carolina Panthers, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Houston Texans. It's like he was playing hard to get, keeping us on the edge of our seats, wondering which lucky team will pick him in the draft. Trust me, analysts were buzzing about the possibility of him being the #1 pick. Eventually, he was taken by none other than the Carolina Panthers. During the post-draft press conference, he couldn't contain his excitement. With a beaming smile on his face, he talked about how he was blessed to have this opportunity. Following up, there have been some comments made about his size, but you bet he isn't bothered by any of it. You see, throughout his career, sports commentators and fans couldn't help but talk about his stature. At 6 feet and 194 pounds, he's definitely on the shorter and lighter side compared to some of those hulking professional footballers. But the amazing thing is that he isn't losing his sleep over any of this. In fact, he has a cool attitude about all the noise surrounding his size. He said that he doesn't really know too much about what's said in the media, and he isn't sweating about it. Way to go. During a press conference, he said that he's been this size his whole life. There's nothing he can do about it. But he can control his game, and he's confident that his hard work will pay off in the end. With that said, he has a football role model, and he's openly admitted that he looks up to none other than the legendary Aaron Rodgers. He even called Rodgers one of the best to do it. On his podcast, he talked about his admiration for Aaron, saying he was honored and humbled when Aaron's brother, Jordan Rodgers, compared his skills to the Packers' powerhouse himself.
That's definitely who I try to model my game after the most. So to hear something like that, I got the opportunity to meet his brother, and it was really cool to me. He talked to me a little bit in person about it, and that was a really great opportunity.
So, what's it about Aaron that Young finds so awe-inspiring? Well, it's not just one thing, it's everything. He gushed about Aaron's game, saying that he's in awe of the throw he makes, his accuracy, and his ability to throw on and off the platform from any angle. He even went as far as saying that Aaron's a master and the most gifted physical passer ever. So there you have it. That was all you needed to know about Bryce Young.